In this presentation, you will learn about feminist methodological perspectives. Feminist methodologies attempt to eradicate sexist bias in research and find ways to capture women's voices. The process of feminist research is characterized by four primary features: expanding methodologies to include both quantitative and qualitative methods, connecting women for group-level data collection, reducing the hierarchical relationship between researchers and their participants to facilitate trust and disclosure, and recognizing and reflecting upon the emotionality of women's lives. In simple words, the producers of knowledge for a long span of generations have been only men, and they have been writing about how women experience the world. Feminist research basically tries to question this approach. It is women who are writing about themselves. Rayna's book titled Feminist Methods in Social Research talks about core components of feminist research like feminist research is guided by feminist theory, feminists use multiplicity of research methods, interdisciplinary research is used while conducting research like history, psychology, literature. The aim of feminist research is to bring about a social change. Feminist research strives to recognize diversity. It focuses on the experience of the research. It also helps in building a connection between the reader and the people studied. Heath points out certain common features of feminist methodology through several literature analysis like it rejects the positivism methodology of generalization using methods of science, quantification. It looks into the influence of gender relations. It questions the science. It adopts a liberatory methodology whereby emancipation of women from oppression is seen through writing, questioning. It speaks about non-hierarchical research relationships. It speaks about ethnography taking feminist standpoints. To understand feminist research methodology, we need to look into the background of gender movements. The following background will help us understand the historical background of the feminist movement, the struggle, the history, and its changing form with new forms of media like social media. Feminism. The Merriam-Webster dictionary describes feminism as the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes and an organized activity on behalf of women's rights and interests. Feminist movements for several decades have campaigned for rights of women like right to vote, to hold public office, to work, to earn fair wages or equal pay, to own property, to receive education, to enter contracts, to have equal rights within marriage and right to have maternity leave. Feminists have also worked on important areas like promoting bodily autonomy, integrity, and to protect women and girls from brutal crimes such as rape, sexual harassment, and domestic violence. In other words, feminism talks about women's rights both at home and outside home. Intersectionality and feminism. With time, the discussion of women's rights also changed its forms with intersectionality concept through which women's rights or universal sisterhood idea is not accepted. The term intersectionality was coined by civil rights advocate Kimberly Williams Crenshaw, who points out how women do not have common experiences all over the world. For example, the colored women experience more problems in terms of being women, racial discrimination, and economic marginalization compared to middle class white women. The feminist research at present doesn't restrict to studying women and her experiences, but it also talks about the transgender, queer, or any other category which does not confine it to a label even. Misogyny. Even today, the misogynistic behavior is very common, hence studying about women becomes very important. The term misogyny is derived from the ancient Greek word misogynia, which means hatred towards women. Misogyny has taken shape in multiple forms such as male privilege, patriarchy, gender discrimination, sexual harassment, belittling of women, violence against women, and sexual objectification. Background to feminist writings. For several generations, it is the men who have dominated knowledge production. Even in the West, many a times women used to write in the name of men. That is, they used to fake themselves as men and publish. As the society at that time didn't expect a woman to write about topics like sexuality, it was considered taboo. So women were forced to use male names. Most often, men were the knowledge producers. These men, with their limited view about women, wrote about women. This was often the case where women were shown in bad light. So several scholars like Kate Millett question this knowledge production and call it sexual politics. Kate Millett's work stood out as an important book which contributed to the feminist movement. Feminist movements. The feminist movement can be divided into four waves. The first wave of feminism started with the women's suffragette movement in 1848 in New York under the leadership of Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. This movement aimed at promoting women's right to vote. The second wave, which started somewhere in 1960s, campaigned for the legal and social equality for women. It included issues about their reproductive rights, legal inequalities, domestic violence, marital rape, and divorce law. The third wave, which began in the 1990s, dealt with issues such as sex-positive feminism, intersectionality, trans feminism, vegetarian ecofeminism, and postmodern feminism. Sex-positive feminism or sexually liberal feminism propagates the idea of sexual freedom being an essential component of women's freedom. The fourth wave, feminism, refers to a kind of feminism that began around 2012, which targets sexual harassment, campus sexual harassment, rape culture, workplace discrimination, body shaming, sexist imagery in the media, online misogyny, assault on public transport, and other types of harassment that are associated with the use of social media. The recent issues which were shocking and horrid, like Nirbhaya Delhi gang rape, Harvey Weinstein allegations, Bill Cosby allegations, gave birth to campaigns like Everyday Sexism Project, No More Page 3, and the recent Me Too movement. Feminist research methodology talks about how the field of research has been dominated and marginalized. So, feminist approach has been questioning this bias and trying to bring about a change through writing and research with large amount of women's contributions. Thank you for watching the presentation.